Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my second video. Thank you guys so much for checking out my first one, and if you haven't yet, please give it a thumbs up and check it out if you have the time. I thought this second video would be really fun to kind of show you guys an affordable, easy, and really fun DIY that you can do over the holiday season, either with yourself or with your friends. And you can make something really cute with materials found at Blick. And I'm going to show you guys how to make these cute little clay trays. I've been really loving working with clay recently, and I've been having such a good time just exploring different mediums, and I want to show you guys what I've learned and how you can do this yourself. And yeah, have some fun making a craft with your family and friends. So let's get into it. First things first, I want to show you guys all the tools that you're going to need for this project. I got everything from Blick, and I'll make sure to link it all in the description below. Here is everything you guys will need to get started. I have these wooden sculpt tools, and these have been really helpful. Super inexpensive, a rolling pin to flatten out the clay, and this is the clay that I've been using recently that I really like. It's oven bake clay, so it hardens once you put it in the oven. So you're first gonna take your clay into a few sections and break them up. This clay is tough at first to knead, but then once you roll it out a few times and work it with your hands, it gets much easier to use and knead to create the shape that you want. I'm just creating the base of my bunny tray right now. I don't really look for anything to be perfect. Nothing has to be super symmetrical. It's just supposed to be fun and kind of whatever feels right. So that's completely up to you guys when you're making. One thing that I sometimes forget, and I want to remind you guys, is to make sure that your clay base is at least 1/4 of an inch thick. This way it'll ensure that it's not going to break once you bake it in the oven. I'm just creating the base of my bunny tray right now. I don't really look for anything to be perfect. Nothing has to be super symmetrical. It's just supposed to be fun and kind of whatever feels right. A great little tip that I learned in APR in high school is to score your clay, which basically is what I'm doing right now. I'm making these little scratches on the clay's surface, and that's going to help to adhere this separate piece I'm putting on, which is kind of like the lip of this tray. Molding the bunny took a bit of time, and also my camera died, so I don't have footage of that part, but it was really fun to do. I just used some excess clay I had to make my ears, the head, and then the little paws that are on the sides of the tray. So just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I think actually those little imperfections make it a bit more unique and personal. Next, we're gonna bake our clay pieces. You're gonna set your oven to 275 degrees and put your little creation into the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, but just make sure you're checking out periodically so you can see its progress and make sure it's not in there for too long. Now we can go into painting our clay piece. This is the paint I use. I recommend an acrylic paint. I love the Liquitex brand, and I just am using Mars Black for my bun, but you can use obviously whatever color you want, but this brand is really great for these pieces. Once your piece is painted to how you want it, let it dry completely. This may take a couple of hours, but it is so worth giving it the extra buffer time to dry, because our last step is varnishing, and this is the varnish I've been really liking lately. It is also the Liquitex brand, and this is the high gloss varnish for acrylic mediums. So you just need a little bit of this. A little goes a long way. I recommend putting it in like a separate little paint tray and dip your brush in and very lightly start painting over your piece with the varnish. You'll notice there's kind of this bluish iridescent look to it, but once it dries, you won't see that. It's just gonna leave this really beautiful glossy finish. And it is normal to see little bubbles kind of foam up on the surface when you are using that, but those will also go away once it dries. And a way to help ensure that you don't get too many bubbles is just don't use too much of the varnish. Now, this is a special last step for anyone who wants to add this resin overlay to their pieces. You do not have to do this. I just did this because I have a little mini canvas in here that I wanted to protect, and also I just thought it would be like a cool little effect on these trays. So what you're going to need is a resin kit. I recommend this one from Blick. It's Art Loves Resin. I think that's just the name, but it was not expensive. I got the 4-ounce bottles, and all you're gonna do is mix half and half of each solution into a separate little plastic cup. And you wanna just kind of eyeball how much you'll need to cover the surface. So these are tiny surfaces, so I really did not need a lot, but always just make sure you're doing half and half of each solution, which is the hardener and the resin. Some tips for when you guys are using resin is please wear a mask. It smells really, really strong. It kind of gave me a headache, so make sure you're wearing a mask and you're in a very well ventilated area. I did this in my garage with the garage door open, so I recommend doing it with the windows open as well. You'll notice that sometimes bubbles form in the resin. This is normal, but it's not a desired effect, of course. So what I recommend is when you're mixing your two solutions together, don't like mix it vigorously. Mix it very slowly and softly so you prevent air bubbles from forming. And also another really cool tip I learned is to take a lighter. You have to be very careful with this though. And while your piece is hardening, you have about, I think, 45 minutes to kind of work with this before it solidifies too much. You gently wave your lit lighter over the resin piece, but don't let it touch or else it's gonna get cloudy, but that will actually pop all the bubbles and it's very satisfying. You can also get a professional heat torch at Blick, but I didn't want to spend money on that, so I just used a really cheap lighter and it worked fine. Your resin piece will take about 72 hours to dry, so make sure you put it in a space that is safe from dust, extreme cold, extreme heat. I just put mine in my hallway and I put a plastic bin on top of it so no dust would fall onto it, and it dried perfectly within those 72 hours. I hope you guys liked this quick and fun little craft to do with your friends and family over the holidays. If you like these kinds of videos, please let me know. They're so fun for me to make, so I would love to make more for you guys. But happy holidays from me, and I'm so excited to see what you guys create.